The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 10th chapter. Just then, a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he said, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read there?" The lawyer answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said to him, "You have given the right answer. Do this, and you shall live." But wanting to justify himself, the lawyer further asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine upon them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to the inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, 'Take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you whatever more you spend.' Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "Then go and do likewise." This is the gospel of the Lord. You may be seated. This is obviously one of the most famous of all of Jesus' parables, the parable of the Good Samaritan. We all know this story from childhood. We hear it almost every single year in church. But I think sometimes in our life, in our culture, in our society today, we lose sight of what these parables truly mean to us. So I'm going to challenge us a little bit here this weekend. I am going to take a look at this parable from the eyes of our society in 2016. And it's not going to be a very good picture. I'm just warning you now. I think the first question that people in our society would ask when they hear Jesus tell this parable, the very first question would be, well, what in the world was this guy doing walking by himself on a road like that? He practically asked to be attacked. We do kind of do that in our society, don't we? Blame the victim. Or, closely related, don't you assume he had to have done something to provoke this attack? I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere, did it? We're really good. We're really good at blaming the victim. And I have this image of people in our society hearing this parable today for the first time, and the first thing that we are trained to do in our culture is challenge whether or not the victim was to blame. We do this all the time. We've seen it this past week all over the news. We see it when it comes to cases of sexual assault. We see it all the time. People don't want to accept the fact that sometimes there are bad people in our society, so they look for ways to blame the victim first. Of course, the next question, and I don't do politics from the pulpit, I really don't, but the next question would be asked, and I guarantee it would be asked, had everybody been armed, would this have happened? Sometimes bad things happen to good people. There's the other question. The other main player in this parable is the Samaritan himself, who in today's terms would be a bleeding heart liberal and would be setting a terrible precedent, making people ask, are we all supposed to give our time and our resources and our money and our talents to help other people that we don't even know? Or my favorite question around the Samaritan is, what was a Samaritan doing in that country anyway? Who let him in? The sad thing is, as many of us in here chuckle at these questions, we chuckle at the sarcasm because we get the politics behind them. We know that in some circles of our country, these questions are asked all the time of real cases that are happening here and now. It would be too easy for me to simply talk about love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. But there's a challenge in there. There's a challenge to change the way we view each other. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's very hard for us to do that. We have a hard time loving the people in our own families. We have a hard time always accepting our own friends. And here, when Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, it's not just those people close to you, it's those that you don't even know that are your neighbors. We are terrible at this. We just really are. So as much as I would love to stand up here and simply preach about love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself, it's not that easy. Because somewhere in the midst of this, we have to change who we are in order to do it. We have to change who our society is in order to do it. It's not okay for us as a society to constantly question the victims. It is not okay for us as a society to allow politics to be won by division and fear. It's not okay for us to carry our own stereotypes and judgments and prejudices against other people who we don't even know. None of that is okay. And quite frankly, what has happened in our country over the last week, the last month, and let's be honest, the last several years is just not acceptable, period. Quite frankly, it's ridiculous. When Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, he means value the life of your neighbor. Value the life of everybody you meet. Everybody that you meet. Because God values the life of every single person in this world. We have to learn how to value life the way that God values life. We have to learn to love the way that God loves. We have to learn what grace really means. It is, quite frankly, disgusting to watch the news. To me, it is unacceptable that every single Monday when I turn on the radio or turn on the TV, I hear a report of the number of shootings and killings in the city of Chicago that sounds like the Vietnam War. It is absolutely unacceptable to keep hearing about traffic stops that turn into something deadly on either side. It is absolutely unacceptable to be sitting watching TV with my daughter and have breaking news of somebody opening fire on dozens of police officers at a peaceful protest. It's just unacceptable. To be honest, if I were Mexico or Canada, I would be building a wall right about now. Really. Because our behaviors are unacceptable. When Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, we really don't get it. And that needs to change now. And I get that I am preaching to the choir here. I really get that. The fact is that we all have a voice. We all are mentors. We all are role models. We are all capable of speaking up for what is right. We are all capable of speaking out with God's love and God's grace. We are all capable of caring and getting involved. Far too often we're silent. Silence doesn't help. Prayer does, but our calling is not to be silent. Our calling is to share that love boldly and loudly. There are so many ways we can do that, whether it is volunteering, working with kids in our community, whether it is on Facebook and social media, whether it is in our schools, at our churches. One of the really cool things, probably the only cool thing that I saw on media this week, and I don't know that you guys know this, the Elgin Police Department is actually taking a group of teenagers from our community on a camp this week. At-risk kids. Kids that could not afford to go to a summer camp otherwise. And there are police officers from this community taking them on that camp, giving up time with their own families to role model what it is to respect and to love and to value life. We all can do these things. We all can sign a card and send it to somebody. We all can go over and talk to our neighbor. We all can be loud and bold on social media. We all can volunteer with the kids of this community. We all are capable of going to that garden back there, picking something out of it, and taking it to somebody that we know could really use it. We all are capable of loving others and being role models. And understand this. When you role model God's love, and somebody sees that, they become more likely to do the same for someone else. There are so many things we can do, but being silent is not one of them. We should be appalled at what we've seen this past week. We should understand, and I mean this, we should understand that when a person of color says, I don't feel comfortable, I don't feel safe, something isn't right, I am not treated the same way that other people are treated, it is never okay for us to just dismiss that. Those feelings are real to those people. And they are our brothers and sisters, and they are our neighbors, and if they feel it, we should feel it too. This isn't a competition. It's not this Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter. Stop it. Our nation needs to stop. It's not a competition. If some of our brothers and sisters feel that at times their lives are not valued the way that others are valued, then we all need to stand up, stand alongside of them, and fix it, period. I'm going to share this. I'm not taking credit for this. I saw it from a colleague of mine who actually is out, I think, in Nebraska, to be honest. But it was a spectacular example. And it was an example meant to kind of frame for us why saying all lives matter is a really bad response when somebody says Black Lives Matter. Follow the analogy here. 4 people sitting at a table. 3 of them in the restaurant get their food, and Bob doesn't. And Bob stands up and says, Bob deserves food. And the other 3 say, we all deserve food, and just keep eating. Did it help Bob? No, it didn't. Look, folks, this isn't politics. It's gospel. Love your neighbor as yourself. If they feel hurt, you feel hurt. If they feel judged, you feel judged. If they feel that they've been devalued, then you feel that you have been devalued. Because that's what it means to love someone as you love yourself. That you are willing to take on their pain, their fear, their loss, and walk alongside of them with respect, value, and love. Love your neighbor as yourself. We're capable. A lot of work to do. We're capable. We are going to start by praying for people all the time here, some of whom we don't always agree with, but we're going to pray for them. And we're going to stand up, and we're going to share God's love, and we're going to role model that grace. The whole world needs to see us. Thanks be to God.